Hello, viewer. Welcome back to Hazy Metaphors. Did you think I fell off the face of the earth? I certainly feel like I have. As I mentioned in my last video, these videos are very much inspired by Megan Rhiannon's or Petite Gloom's attic archives, and I thought I would do a talking segment where I showed you a few things. And so bear with me. I don't have this scripted out or anything, so if I get a little too rambly, I apologize for that. I love this fidget. It makes a nice clacky sound. It is very satisfying for me. So Megan always has a slinky that she fidgets with while she's talking. A lot of times when I'm in meetings or doing online schooling or therapy, I'm fidgeting with my fidget cube because this thing can get quite annoying when you're in the middle of a meeting and it's going clackety clackety clack. So I usually get my fidget cube out, but this is the most satisfying one for me. Besides the slinky, I agree with Megan that the slinky is just, I don't know. It just feels so nice. I'll lay in bed sometimes and just do this over and over again. It's just so satisfying for me. My daughter has a mini slinky and she does the same thing. She just likes to feel it go back and forth. So there's just something about a slinky. I don't know. What I wanted to talk to you about though was, first of all, some updates. I know last time I said I was writing a novel within so many weeks and I wasn't going to start over and blah, blah, blah. That was totally scrapped. My narcolepsy kicked in and just sort of kicked my butt, and then depression set in, which usually they kind of go together. And so I didn't do the novel writing like I really wanted to, and I was quite gung-ho about it at the beginning and quite determined about it, and then I just sort of lost steam, and it happens. Also, some other things happened, and I got a job now. I am teaching part-time online. I am teaching ESL, and just started that, and it's quite hectic at the beginning. So these videos for now will continue to be quite sporadic since I am so busy trying to keep up with with teaching an ESL class. It's quite rewarding and it's fun work. It's just there's a lot to do outside of the actual teaching part. So bear with me as I grow adjusted to that, and I adjust my sleep schedule and my napping schedule, and hopefully I was gonna say be back to making regular videos, but this is only the second video and they have not been regular at all. So let's just say I hope to start making somewhat regular videos sometime soon, maybe in the new year. After that winter break, maybe I'll feel a little more rested up and optimistic and energized enough to start doing regular videos. But for now, I wanted to share some Halloween footage because Halloween's my favorite holiday, and people around here go above and beyond decorating their houses for Halloween, which is so fun to see. I'm not one of those people. I do a minimal amount of decorating for any holiday, and just because of my energy levels. It's, you know, when you put it up, it's exciting, and then it takes so much energy to take it back down and store it and organize it, and it's just a whole thing. And so I try to be realistic with my expectations for my own decorations, but I love walking around the neighborhood and seeing everybody else's. And so I wanted to share some footage of that. So I wanted to get a video out here, and I wanted to do another talking segment like I did in my last video. Although last time I did it over some footage of me journaling. I thought I would do it this way this time because I had some things I wanted to show you. So I started a project, and I've already been scolded by somebody for copying Petite Gloom or Megan's work. But I actually started this before I knew she was doing it. So I wasn't actually copying her, but it is heavily inspired by her. So I do think there's some credit due in that sort of sense. In my previous notebooks, I was always drawing in margins. And this is where the inspiration from Megan comes from, because watching her work with margins made me want to work with margins, because the way my thoughts work and the way I have to loop back around to something, margins just made sense. And so I started using margins in my notebooks, and I started using them for various things, not just thoughts that are looping back around, but notes, and sometimes I use the margins just to call attention to something. And anyway, I love margins, and so I was always drawing them in my notebooks, which was getting very tedious. And I was looking for a notebook that had margins in them, and you can see the Hobonichi notebook, the Hobonichi Weeks notebook, has this light line that goes down here. And so there are some margins already in the book, which is fantastic. I love it. I love this book. I love the shape of it. I love how thin it is. I feel like I'm going to fill it up pretty quickly, and there's something so satisfying about reaching the end of a notebook. I just am in love with that feeling. So a nice thin notebook where I'm not going to finish it too quickly, but quickly enough to where I get that sort of dopamine boost is very satisfying. However, I have to draw in the page numbers, or write in the page numbers. I don't draw them, I write them. I have to write in the page numbers, and that after a while gets sort of tedious. So in the past, I have made my own notebooks. I made them when I used the Traveler's Company cover for the passport, because I love a good pocket notebook. So I decided I would start making pocket notebooks again. And this was sort of the result. I made this notebook by hand. I designed the pages. I put page numbers on there. I made it with who it belongs to, date started, date ended. I just love having that in my notebooks. And it's nice that it's just already there. A page for intentions, an index, and then just these pages that have this nice light margin that you can ignore or use according to how you want to use your pages, and page numbers. I don't know if you can see that there, but there's some nice page numbers there. And so I was making my own book, and in the past, I stitched the notebooks together. I bound them. For some reason, I can't get it to work right now. I don't know why I could do it so well in the past, and now I guess I'm out of practice. So I began staple binding them, sort of like they do with the Field Notes notebooks. And the design sort of changed. So I had this where the grid was the full page, and it had the margin, and I kind of like that. I like these big grids too, but I also like a nice small grid, so I experimented with a teeny tiny grid that you can see there. And if you look at the whole page, the grid doesn't go to the end of the page. It's just sort of this box there. And I kind of like that idea. I like the idea of a border around it. However, when I trim the notebooks, I'm not able to trim them evenly because I'm not a professional bookmaker. So, and I don't have professional machinery. I'm just using an X-Acto, like an X-Acto knife, is that what it's called? A box cutter. I'm using a box cutter, and I'm just doing that over and over again until I get the pages all trimmed, and then I round the corners with a round punch. And I was pretty happy with how these turned out. However, you can see that the border around the top is a lot smaller than the border around the bottom. But I liked the idea of having the border, so I liked experimenting with that sort of layout. And then I was catching up on some of Megan's videos, and she had started making her own notebooks, only she had sent hers to a professional manufacturer, her designs to a professional manufacturer, and had them print them for her and trim them and bind them. And I thought, whoa, that was a cool idea. So we kind of exchanged comments in the comment section of her videos, because I was like, we're on the same wavelength, because I've been making my own notebooks. And she had mentioned how she found her manufacturer, or how she got into printing her books and such. So I decided to see if I could find somebody to print some of my designs. So I had this made, which I'm not terribly happy about. Some of the things are not lined up correctly. And this size, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Sometimes I love it, and sometimes I'm not in love with it. The reason I went with this size, it was the closest that they could cut it down to a pocket size. Because if you know me on Instagram, you know I love a good pocket notebook. This was the closest that they could get to a pocket, quite big. And this manufacturer, this printer, didn't do custom sizes or anything either. So I started turning to a different manufacturer who did do custom sizes, but again, they didn't do pocket size notebooks. I thought it would be fun to design a planner in A5 size. So again, date started, date ended. So I started designing quarterly planners and just had so much fun. I went through so many designs before I found one to print. I had some like project planning pages in this planner. And there's the yearly overview, a quarterly overview, and a monthly overview. I don't know if you can see all that. And then the monthly view, which I didn't line the boxes up very well. And then the weekly view, which in my most recent design, I've changed this weekly view a little bit. Like I've shrank this down a little bit, and the habits is smaller with the currently box underneath the habits. And this stretches all the way across the page, and this became notes. And it just seems like that's sort of the ideal layout for me for a planner, having my top 3 priorities, my urgent and not urgent lists, because sitting down and forcing myself to prioritize each week has been an incredibly powerful tool for me. So, because I have a hard time prioritizing in my mind, it's much better if I take the time to do it on paper. And if you've ever seen how I do in my Hobonichi, again, the layout is pretty similar, except the size is different, but you have your days over here, and then I have my top 3 priorities, and I have my urgent list, my not urgent list, and my notes and my habits. So I kind of draw that layout out each week, and I thought, how cool would it be if I could design a planner where I didn't have to draw that out and it was already laid out for me. So that's where this idea was born. And I thought it would just be fun just to test out this printer and how well they can make things. After that, I decided to go for a notebook, and I kept contemplating, what size do I want this notebook? And again, they didn't do pocket sizes. They couldn't cut it down that small. I'm not sure why, but they don't cut it down that small. I think because it's not really made to be notebooks. They're more made to be for like zines and catalogs and magazines and such. But this printer did do custom sizes. They just had to be within a certain range of sizes. And so I thought, you know what I could do, since I love the Hobonichi Weeks so much, I love the size, I love how long it is. Can you kind of see how long it is? If you've seen me on Instagram, you've seen this a lot. And so I thought, why not do a traveler size notebook? Even though I don't really work in the regular traveler size that much, I've worked in the Passport in the past. I don't have a traveler's cover, so I can't show you how well this fits in. And when I put the sizing in, I actually put it in slightly off, because where I got my measurements from was not very accurate. It was just an estimate. So this is actually slightly taller than traveler size, which I will change with my next set of notebooks. But these I will use for now, because they're very much usable. They're a nice long notebook like the Hobonichi Weeks. You can see how long they are. Let me move this. There, now you can see how long it is. This is how it compares to the Hobonichi Weeks. So you can see it's quite a bit bigger, but it's still that same basic shape that I like, that long shape. And again, I have this notebook belongs to, date started, date ended. I have my website there in case I decided to give some away or sell some. I have a place to put my commonplace key. If you've ever seen my commonplace book, I always have a key at the beginning. So there's the key I'm using currently. And so I have this dot sticker key, and I have a place where I can put that in here. I have a page for the key, and then I have an index, which is the whole reason why I want numbered pages, because I want to be able to write down what I was writing where. And these are what the pages look like. Again, they have that border around them that I was pretty excited about. I'm gonna move this out of the way. They have that border around them that I was excited about. They have the margins, which in my next set, I'm gonna make the margins a little wider because I prefer it to be about 1/3 of the graph. And I have page numbers at the bottom. So it's sort of my holy grail of my trinity. Page numbers, grid, and margins. Those are the 3 things I've been really wanting in a notebook, and why I decided to make my own. Oh, I didn't notice there was a mark there. So yeah, and then it's just a bunch of these blank pages here. And in the back, I have a page for notes to self, because my back page, that's how I always use it. I use it as a place to just jot down random stuff, like if I'm on the go or something and I just need to jot something down real quick, or I want to write down the sizes I use in clothing and stuff that I can't hold in my brain. And then I put 2023 edition because my spouse recommended that I date them in some way to see how they evolve over time, which I thought was a cool idea. And the next thing I designed was a teaching notebook, since I got this teaching job, because why not? It's so much fun. Oh, I got some dust in here. This isn't the one I'm currently using, because the one I'm currently using has some information I don't want you to see. But I have an index again, and it's A5 size, so it's bigger. I have a place for the contacts that people I need to contact, and sites and other resources that I'll be using. I have a professional development tracker and a computer lab tracker because I need to track that stuff, and lists for things I need to do before each class starts, before the session starts, and then a list of things I need to do during a session. And then I have a place where I can track attendance, and we do 7-week sessions. Well, they're 8-week sessions, but 7 weeks of classes. So I have 7 weeks worth of attendance. And then I have my monthly view where I can write down my hours so I know what to put in my time card. And I just put enough for one session in here. And then I do a weekly view where I can write down appointments, office hours, stuff like that. And then I have my priorities, urgent, not urgent, and notes, which I'm finding in my work notebook or planner isn't quite what I need. I need something a little different. So the next time I design this or get some printed, it'll be different. And then I have some lesson planning sheets in here. The one thing I regret about this is I did not make these lines dark enough. These are supposed to be 3 columns. There's the format, the lesson itself, and then notes and resources over here. That's just how I do my lesson planning, and I didn't make those lines dark enough, but they're dark enough for me to see while I'm lesson planning, so it's all good. And that's essentially it. That it just kind of carries on that same thing throughout the rest of the notebook with some notebook pages in the back for notes on meetings and stuff. So that was fun to make. I've also, before classes started, or before I got this job, I was also creating things for my next Hobonichi. I decided to do a Hobonichi next year. This is my 2024 one, and I'm excited about it. And I made some pages to put in the back that I can tape in the back if I decide to. So these were just some things I designed. And what do I want to show you? I want to show you this one. This is my project planning one. The project planning sheet I showed you from the planner I designed earlier, it's essentially the same thing as this, only this is the size to fit into the back pages of the Hobonichi Weeks. So it fits in here with a little room to spare, so you can still see the page numbers that are at the bottom here. This one doesn't have a page number on it, but the ones that do. And it has a place to write down what your project is, the supplies and resources you need, the main steps, any sort of images or diagrams you want, and then a detailed task list. And this is just to keep track of projects. The reason why I wanted to show you this is because I uploaded it to my coffee shop, I don't know how you pronounce it, my shop. It's on my shop, and it's free. So if you wanted to download it, cut it out, and put it into your Hobonichi Weeks next year, go for it. But that was basically what I wanted to show you today. And if you need to find that, my site is at www.cassgraves.com. Graves as in like a graveyard. My daughter is home now, so I'm going to wrap this up so I can talk to her for a little bit about her school day. So thank you for joining me. I hope this wasn't too boring for you. I hope I didn't ramble too much. And I hope tonight you have the sweetest dreams.